In April 2025, a peaceful tourist town in Kashmir turned into a nightmare.
28 people are reported to have been killed after gunmen opened fire on tourists in Indian-administered Kashmir.
So why would they do that?
A group of armed terrorists stopped travelers and began asking one terrifying question: are you Hindu or Muslim? If the
That sounds a lot like terrorism to me. And then they shoot them if they say that they're not like the right one.
answer didn't match, they opened fire.
Right.
26 innocent tourists were killed. One woman crying over her husband's body.
See, this is one of the big differences that a lot of people don't really understand, is that the difference between a war and terrorism is that these terrorists actively target civilians and they kill civilians specifically. They don't go in trying to attack a military base and civilians get killed in the process. They don't, they don't try to bomb a place where there are a military area and there's casualties of like collateral damage. These people actively target civilians. They do. They actively target them.
Begged the attackers to shoot her
easy
too.
wins. It's like in Rust, where like you're sitting out there on the beach ready to shoot some new person.
Terrorist laughed, telling her to go tell India's prime minister. Since that moment, India's people are furious. The army is on alert. Pakistan is getting nervous. And now the big question is,
well, why would Pakistan be nervous? Shouldn't Pakistan use their own military to find out where these insurgency terrorist groups are and get rid of them themselves? Because like if they have a terrorist group in their country, isn't that a problem for Pakistan? And if that's not a problem for Pakistan, then that sounds like Pakistan is a problem. That's what I would say. That's their responsibility.
Is the next war loading in 2025? Let's go back, see how it all began.
What is this?
At the time of independence in 1947, British India was divided into two separate nations. India, which had a Hindu majority population, Pakistan, created as a homeland for Muslims. But the split wasn't as clean as drawing a line on a map. It was violent, brutal, and deeply personal. Over 15 million people were forced to move. Muslims from India to Pakistan, and Hindus and Sikhs from Pakistan to India. Entire families uprooted. Trains filled with refugees arrived.
Why is Britain over there fucking... Why are they playing Civilization over in India?
For spices, you know.
Spices? This is ridiculous. This is why, by the way, this is why a lot of the world hates the West. It's because of bullshit like this. This is a country that they're not even next to. They're in a totally different fucking place. And now they're trying to play fucking, I don't know, civilization, playing Risk with this country. It's insane. The spice must flow, I guess so. But I just wanted you guys to see, this is the reason, and by the way, it doesn't excuse terrorism. Obviously, it doesn't excuse terrorism. It doesn't excuse this to happen. But, like, if you're in one of these countries and your family got displaced, yeah, I wouldn't like Britain either.
Slaughtered. Neighborhoods that had coexisted for centuries turned on each other overnight. It became one of the biggest and bloodiest migrations in human history, with over 1 million people dead.
Wow.
That trauma didn't just vanish. It turned into resentment, and the cracks only got deeper. One of the biggest cracks, a paradise called Kashmir.
Why aren't they mad at Britain? Because I feel like Britain is the one that did this, not even Pakistan and India.
Kashmir was, and still is, one of the most breathtaking places in the world. Snow-capped peaks, peaceful lakes, lush green valleys, a literal heaven on earth.
They're too far away.
Politically, it's been a hell. When the British left, they gave over 560 princely states like Kashmir a choice: join India, join Pakistan, or stay independent. The ruler of Kashmir, Maharaja Hari Singh, was a Hindu, but most of the people in Kashmir were Muslim. The Maharaja wanted to stay independent, not join either India or Pakistan. But then In October 1947, tribal militias from Pakistan, backed by its army, launched an invasion into Kashmir to force it into Pakistan. In panic,
well, I mean, that's pretty one-sided, isn't it?
the Maharaja turned to India for help. India agreed, but on one condition: Kashmir must officially become part of India. The Maharaja signed the instrument of accession, legally joining Kashmir to India.
Okay.
And Indian troops flew in to push back the attack.
Want to blame Britain now? Yeah, of course, because Britain are the ones that started this. Just because Britain isn't responsible for every action along the chain doesn't mean that Britain didn't light the fuse.
Just like that, the First Indo-Pak War began. That war ended in 1948 with a ceasefire brokered by the United Nations.
And also, it doesn't mean Pakistan is... Look, it doesn't mean Pakistan is good. Like, obviously, I mean, these people are... They're awful terrorists, right? That are, like, going in here and killing, like, civilians. Yeah, not everybody in Pakistan, obviously, before somebody tries to take that out of context again. But, like, the people that are going in and forcing these military insurgency groups, they're awful people. They're terrible. They're terrorists. Of course. But if you can't see the downstream effect of this nation building and imperialism and how this creates these structural problems, I don't know what to tell you. Two things can be wrong at the same time. And, like, do you know what I'm saying? Not just Britain. Do you know how, like, I've criticized, like, Hassan, for example, for not being able to, like, acknowledge that, you know, there are bad actors on both sides? I think that we're doing the same thing by not acknowledging that Britain was also a bad actor in this situation as well. I do. I think we're doing the same thing. We shouldn't do that. Look, here's my point. I think that the amount of imperialism and the amount of oversight that foreign countries do on countries that do not have the same race, culture, traditions, or religion as them, making decisions for them, enforcing their will on these countries, I think this is a recipe for disaster. It is, and I think historically, this can be proven in so many cases, and I think a lot of the current conflicts that we have right now are the result of that happening. So, I don't see how you can ignore that. I don't see how you can say that's not happening. You don't lose anything by acknowledging that this is true. It doesn't mean that the West is evil or the West is bad. It just means that maybe we shouldn't meddle in people's affairs so much, and then maybe it wouldn't create these problems that happen down the line. It's not unreasonable to think that way. There's nothing that's unreasonable about this at all. If you're going around and you're fucking taking over countries and then trying to make decisions for them, you're going to have problems. I don't know what to say.
That war ended in 1948.
Okay, that was pretty
with
fast.
a ceasefire.
I think the British, they have massive knowledge advancement compared to India at that time. So they bring gunpowder, guns, weapons, ships into India, and they try to emerge India, become British colony or something like that. When you have so massive power at that time, and India is just a weak ant compared to them, so you want to enforce them and make decision for them. Right? You have the power, right? Power is the only language that can speak and make decision, not because you are a complete independent countries, no.
fire brokered by the United Nations.
Anyway.
But the damage was done. Kashmir was now divided. India controlled about 2/3 of the region. Pakistan controlled the rest, which it still holds today as POK, or Pakistan Occupied Kashmir, POK. The UN called for a referendum to let the people of Kashmir decide their future, but that vote never happened. And since...
What a surprise. Man. That sucks.
Since then, Kashmir has remained the bone of contention in every major conflict between the two nations. India and Pakistan have fought 4 wars in total. 1947 to 48, the first war, right after partition over Kashmir.
It's about to be 5.
1965, another full-scale war,
Holy
again
shit.
over Kashmir. 1971, the most devastating war, but this time not about Kashmir. It was about East Pakistan, where India supported the independence movement that eventually created Bangladesh. 1999, Kargil War.
Wow.
Pakistani soldiers and militants,
I didn't even know about this.
disguised as locals, infiltrated Indian territory in the Kargil region. India launched a massive counterattack operation and pushed them back.
Wow.
In each of these wars, India emerged stronger militarily. But the cycle of hatred and mistrust never broke. And when war didn't work, Pakistan tried something else. By the early 2000s, a new kind of war had begun. A shadow war. Terrorism became the weapon of choice.
It does seem like, I mean, again, this video could be biased, but from this, the way the video is prescribing this, it seems like Pakistan is the aggressor in every single one of these instances. That they're the ones that are starting at every single one.
Instead of soldiers crossing the borders with tanks, militants
The video could be biased. It's important to keep in mind.
quietly with backpacks, guns, and suicide vests. Attacks on civilians became a tool to destabilize India, especially in Kashmir. One of the most horrific examples, Mumbai, 26/11. On the night of November 26, 2008, 10 terrorists from Pakistan arrived by boat on the shores of Mumbai, armed with AK-47s, grenades, and explosives. They split into teams and launched simultaneous attacks across the city. The Taj Mahal Hotel, the Oberoi Trident Hotel, Cafe Leopold, a Jewish community center, Shivaji train station. For nearly 60 hours, Mumbai turned into a war zone. More than 170 people died, including American, Israeli, and British citizens. Over 300 were injured. The only surviving attacker, Ajmal Kasab, was captured alive. His interrogation revealed detailed planning and training, all traced back to Pakistan-based terror group Lashkar-e-Taiba. Then came Pulwama in 2019. A suicide bomber rammed a vehicle full of explosives into a convoy of Indian paramilitary forces.
So it's just every time. I mean, why can't Pakistan keep these people under control? Yeah, I don't get it. Video is probably biased, but with my knowledge of the situation, Pakistan has more of an incentive to be aggressive than India. Video's biased? You think video's biased? Okay.
In Pulwama district, Kashmir, 40 soldiers were killed instantly. It was the deadliest attack on Indian security forces in decades. The terror group, Jaish-e-Mohammed, based in Pakistan, claimed responsibility. India's response? Swift and bold. In the early hours of February 26, 2019, Indian Air Force jets crossed the border and bombed a terror training camp in Palakkad, Pakistan. This was unprecedented. The first airstrike on Pakistani soil since 1971. Pakistan responded by sending its own jets, leading to a short but intense dogfight. One Indian pilot, Inhanandan Varthaman, was captured, but returned 2 days later as a peace gesture. The world watched nervously.
Well, that's good.
Two nuclear-armed nations, one spark away from disaster. But the situation de-escalated for the moment. Still, the attackers never fully stopped. Cross-border terrorism continued. Sleeper cells were busted. Indian security forces worked round the clock to prevent further strikes. But everything changed on April 22nd, 2025.
So this is the shit that just happened.
With a horrifying
here we go.
in Pahalgam, Kashmir. The scenic town of
It was like 2 or 3
Pahalgam,
weeks ago, yeah.
nestled in the Kashmir Valley, is known for its tranquil beauty, horse rides through pine forest, and peaceful rivers. Every year, it's a draw in thousands of tourists from across the country and abroad. But that day became a killing field. Tourists, like always, had arrived to enjoy the mountains. Vehicles can't go deep into the region, so most visitors hop on horseback and local guides to explore. Among them was a woman from central India, accompanied by her husband. Their horse guide chatted with them, but something about him was off. He wasn't just asking friendly touristy questions. He started probing. Where are you from? Have you read the Quran?
Oh my God. Oh boy. Oh boy, here it is. All right, yeah, I didn't see any of this at all. Holy shit, man.
Are you Hindu or Muslim? The woman tried to brush it off, but then she heard him whisper on a call.
Wait, so they just, okay.
Go with plan B. Guns are in place.
Panic surged through her veins. She discreetly messaged India's intelligence tip line, a hotline most tourists wouldn't even know about. But before the agency could act, it was already
They're all
too
dead.
late. Around 6 to 7 armed men dressed like locals suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Not military uniforms, civilian clothes, horses, and hidden weapons.
Yeah, sure.
But what they carried wasn't small arms. It was full-blown automatic weapons. They started pulling terrorists off horses, shouting at them, "Are you Hindu or Muslim?" If Muslim, read the Quran. If not, they opened fire. Bullets flew in all directions. Screams echoed through the valley. The attackers didn't care if there were women, children, or elderly. Anyone who couldn't answer in the way they wanted was shot. 26 innocent tourists died on the spot. One woman lost her husband right in front of her eyes. Through tears, she shouted at the attackers, "You killed him? Kill me too!" But the response was chilling. One of the terrorists sneered and said, "No, go tell your prime minister what happened today." And then he laughed, a laugh that still...
Well, didn't they just get bombed yesterday? So that would really, you know, that didn't really work out too well for them, did it? Yeah.
Rings in the ears of many Indian who heard her testimony.
They
The
want
country
war? Think so?
erupted in grief, and then in fury. Across social media, protests,
I bet.
news channels, there was only one question. How long will we tolerate this? This wasn't just a terror attack. This was psychological warfare. A brutal reminder that terrorism in Kashmir isn't gone. It's just evolved. And once again, all eyes turned toward Pakistan. Because here's the truth. Attacks like these aren't random. They don't come out of nowhere. These are trained operatives, supplied, funded, and sheltered, not by rogue street gangs, but by organized networks, many of which have found safe havens across the border. India's intelligence agency...
That's insane, man. Like, it's hard to know, like I said before, right? It's always hard to know, like, if this kind of stuff is biased or not. But I don't know what to say. It keeps saying this was in the same thing with a different name. Not every Muslim is a terrorist. I mean, obviously, like, look, religious extremism is bad no matter what you're doing, right? I mean, like, I don't know why it's hard to understand. Like, this is my stance on it. All religious extremism is bad. Any group that uses their religion to be violent to civilians and commit terrorist activities, I think should be completely annihilated. That's why I pay my taxes to the military. That's what I want the military to do. So that's it, right? I mean, and so, like, it doesn't matter. Is it disproportionately affecting one religion or another? It doesn't matter. Even if it only affects one religion, it doesn't matter because it's the action that's the problem, not the religion.
Began tracing the attackers' origins. Early reports suggested ties to a radicalized splinter group operating out of Pakistan-administered Kashmir. The government didn't realize all the details, but what came out was enough. And India's response? It wasn't immediate missiles or strikes. It was something smarter. Enter the Water War.
What?
Let's rewind to the 1960s for a moment. India and Pakistan signed the Indus Waters Treaty, brokered by the World Bank. Under it, Pakistan would get unrestricted access to the Indus, Jhelum, and Chenab rivers. India would control the Ravi, Beas, and Sutlej. This was meant to prevent disputes over water, a resource both countries rely on heavily.
Of course.
But post-Pahalgam, India began
It's crazy how I can see why they're fighting over this shit. This looks really nice. Oh my god, that looks amazing. Bro, like, that's out of a video game.
Post-Pahalgam, India began reviewing the treaty, and in a bold but silent move, India started diverting excess water that traditionally flowed into Pakistan. Not cutting off water, but minimizing the outflow legally within treaty terms. It was a message. You keep sending terror, we'll stop sending rivers. In agriculture-dependent Pakistan, where 70% of the water comes from these rivers, this hit hard. The government issued press releases, held emergency meetings, and called it a violation. But legally, India hadn't broken anything. It had simply stopped playing nice. Meanwhile, back at the line of control, things got hotter, literally. Small gunfire exchanges began almost...
I mean, like, this is kind of how I see something like that, is, like, I think cutting off their water supply is fucking awful, right? It is. But I think that what they're saying is, like, in the same way that the Pakistani government, they think, is probably playing stupid with these terrorist organizations, they're going to play stupid with the treaty as well. I think that seems like kind of what's going on.
Daily reports surface.
That's what they think is happening.
Of drone intrusions, sniper activity, and unmanned surveillance aircrafts being taken down. But that wasn't all. For the first time in over a year, Indian Air Force fighter jets began routine patrols across northern air zones, especially near the borders. Troop movement increased. Tanks were spotted near forward bases. Special forces began training drills close to the border. This wasn't war, but it wasn't peace either. Pakistan, already reeling from an economic crisis, a falling currency, and skyrocketing inflation, suddenly had to prepare for something it wasn't ready for: escalation. While Indian military analysts discussed precision response and surgical strikes, Pakistani generals were seen holding late-night emergency meetings. And the civilians? They were lining up for basic groceries. As flour prices doubled and fuel became scarce, public trust in the government hit rock bottom. But did that stop the military elite? Not really. Pakistan's leadership has often operated with the mindset of strategic depth, keeping the India conflict alive to justify its military control over internal affairs. But this time, with international pressure building and their economy in free fall, their bluff might just be called. At this moment, India hasn't launched a full-blown military strike, but the chessboard is set. Tensions are the highest they've been in years.
It's crazy that both of these countries have nukes too, which is what's nuts.
Are alert. Borders are
that's
hot.
A whole lot.
Diplomats are working overtime, and across both countries, citizens are wondering, is this the start of something big?
Wow. Well, I think it probably will be, honestly. It's true. It's an effective technique usually. Do you not even one prime minister in Pakistan is able to complete full term? They were always arrested by the military. Yeah, I mean, like, that sounds pretty bad. I mean, the thing is, whenever I look at the video like this, it's very obvious to me that, I mean, like, I don't know. It seems like it was biased in favor of India, and, like, it was pretty much one-dimensional. But, like, some conflicts are like that, right? I mean, there's a good side and a bad side, right? I don't know whether that's true or not, but, like, my skepticism, like, shield kind of goes up when I see that every single instance that's shown in the video is an instance of, like, one person being the aggressor and the other person not being. And this is just me coming at it from like a layman's perspective, because I know that, you know, the way with all media is, it can be deceptive. And so when I see something that's like trying to paint a very one-dimensional picture, I do begin being very skeptical because of that. Sadly, it's the case. Yeah, I'd need to know more about it before I was sure. But yeah, that's actually really good to know. This is a YouTube video too. Somebody just linked it on my Reddit, but I'll link it to you guys right now. Which one is it? I think this is it. Yeah, this is it. And this guy actually has only made 2 videos ever. This is a really, really good video. Yeah, I mean, I would say like the editing and everything is really, really well put together. So I'll link you guys his video so you can subscribe to his channel. Yeah, there it is.